Once you throw a ball down the lane and you get that strike, it's an impossible feeling to describe.
He needs a strike or a spare for history.
I say this all the time, bowling is a beautiful game, but what makes it exciting is that people are going to watch you do it.
Back-to-back opening jacks.
If no one's watching you bowl, then what's the difference between, bowling on the pro tour or bowling at home in a practice session?
One of the greatest things about bowling is everyone can do it. And they can relate to what we do as professionals. But my bowling is different than when you walk in and you get a couple of beers and you go down there and you're taking little Flintstone steps and you're just barely throwing. That's not sport bowling.
On the professional level, it is an extremely complicated game. We're talking copious amounts of physics. Chemistry that go into a bowling ball that you have to learn. It's the most difficult game in the world.
Scoring environment in bowling is, I think, where most of the viewers are a little bit confused. Because they go in and they watch their scratch league locally and 25 guys in the place average 230. Nobody's ever averaged 230 on the PBA Tour for a year, ever. Well, what makes those guys better than the people that I'm watching? They're bowling higher scores. What's the playing field?
To make things even more difficult, that environment is constantly changing. Because oil is a physical substance, well, the bowling ball is affecting the position of the oil. So the best way to truly describe it is, imagine you and I step up on the first hole of a golf course and I go first, and I know the bunker is on the left and the water is on the right and the green is right in the middle. I play the hole, I execute it, I get a par. Now it's your turn to come up, and now I've just changed all of the environment, but you don't know it. So you think the bunker's on the left and the water's on the right, but now I've changed the water to the left, the bunker right in the middle of the fairway. Now the optimum place to throw or hit the ball is to the right side, but you don't know it. You hit the ball down the middle thinking it's a great shot. Oops, sorry, we now have a bunker there. That's what makes bowling incredibly difficult.
My father, Guppy Troup, he was a pro on tour. I grew up wanting to be a professional bowler like my dad. As a kid, I was running around the bowling center begging for quarters. Even the guys on tour now, I used to beg them for money back in the day as a kid.
Did most of those guys give you the quarters, or did they?
Some of them would give me quarters, but you best believe nobody's giving me quarters now because I'm taking money from them.
What about the outfit?
I mean, this is definitely the outfit. My father, he had the wild pants back in the day in the 80s, and I kind of got my style from him a little bit.
I was watching the bowling telecast in my mom and my dad's bowling center, and I was eating a burger.
They had a bowling center.
They did. They owned a bowling center. So
that was important.
Yeah, 16-lane center in Mount Pleasant, Texas is where I grew up, and without that, of course, then I didn't have the opportunity. But I was watching Earl Anthony on television that day, and they were talking so high of him that it just got me intrigued. And here I had bowling lanes right behind me. I could go bowling anytime I wanted, but now I'm watching the pros do it. And as soon as that telecast is over, I've got chills. And I looked at my mom and said, Mom, that's what I'm going to do for a living, and I'm going to beat Earl Anthony on it. Luckily for me, I'm 18 years old. My very first game on television was against the great Earl Anthony. It was exactly like I scripted it at 13. I did beat him that day, yes.
Did you feel bad about that?
Yes, sir.
How important is it for the kids to watch and say, what you did, I want to do that?
It's so important. It's exactly how I got into the game. In fact, Belmonte told me one time on an airplane, he said, Norm, you're the reason that I bowl. I watched you hook that ball on television, and I thought, there's nothing better than this. So, yeah, it was astounding to hear that from him. But I had to take myself back and say, wait a minute, this is just history repeating itself. I did the same thing with Earl. I see these kids now, they're looking up to Belmonte, they're doing the same exact thing.
I rolled my first ball on my own when I was 18 months old. So the idea of using one hand, a traditional style, when I was so little wasn't really an option. So I kind of thought, well, if I can't use one, I'll use two so I can bowl. And then every year I would still be a little too little to hold it with one hand like a traditional player, so I would continue to use two. And then it was soon very clear to me that this is how I'm going to bowl. I'm having fun, I'm getting pretty good at it. And my parents at the time were not bowlers. They built a bowling center in my hometown a couple of weeks after I was born. And the fact that they had never thrown a ball down the lane was probably a blessing in disguise, because they would never coach me. They would never try to change me. They just saw this little boy bowling the way that he was, happy, which is perfect because we're really busy here at work.
It's different to a point, and it's becoming more popular. And probably it's going to end up 70% of the young bowlers are going to be imitating you. How does that make you feel?
I mean, it feels very odd, but in a good way. You know, I've never understood why there's such a polarizing view towards it. And maybe it's because it's just what I know, but there are traditional players with a range of different, styles and techniques and swing types and release types and footwork, and everyone's kind of very unique. And I see the way that I play just being another uniqueness. It's still bowling. One of the things I'm probably most proud of, though, is that I kind of stuck to my guns as a little kid.
It's a good time for bowling, and there's more characters in the sport now. Like, they love it whenever I get on TV and pick it out. It's a sports entertainment.
And I wondered why. Why in the world is every sport going crazy with contracts and guaranteed deals and incentives? And bowling, we were going down. There are, goodness, a myriad of different reasons. But I look at the advent of technology in the sports, making all other sports more viewable and more fun to watch. With technology, we're now going to show the oil on the lanes. We're going to put a blue dye on there so you can see. Now we have the shot tracer, which shows where your ball's going. They leave it there and say, this is its intended line, When we make a big move or a strategy change, it's right there. It's in black and white. Beforehand, you just couldn't see it as well. You may not even notice when a guy was making a big change in something that was risky on the player's part. Well, now you see that risk right out there. It's just outlined for you.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. The savvy Duke has done it again.
It's a good time for bowling, and there's more characters in the sport now. Like, they love it whenever I get on TV and pick it out. It's a sports entertainment, no matter what sport it is.
Entertainment is right.
I mean, that's what it's about. Like, I mean, we're bowling on television. Yeah, we're bowling, but I mean, you need to have a good time and put on a show for the fans too.
I I think as you develop in your career, every level of achievement that you reach comes more and more responsibility on how do you intend to utilize that quote unquote fame.
In the NFL, we've been fortunate. You're watching Tom Brady. Everybody's calling him the GOAT.
Yeah.
Tiger Woods, not too long ago. We got to see it. You are seeing it right now playing out in front of your eyes in Jason Belmonte.
The Tiger Woods of bowling. With that goes a lot of responsibility. It's almost like leading the charge back and getting bowling as popular as it was one time, maybe even more popular, with you and television. Is that a winning combination?
I mean, I would like to hope so. I completely understand the responsibility of my role. And it's not just to, step up and throw the ball and sit down. I think I have a responsibility to the best of my ability, make bowling as entertaining as possible and to do what I can to express, the love I have for this game and the want that I have for this game to grow. I think as you develop in your career, every level of achievement that you reach comes more and more responsibility on how do you intend to utilize that quote unquote fame, not just for your personal benefit, but to give back to a sport that has given us so much. I know I have a platform that can reach many more people outside of our industry, and my goal is to infect that populace into bowling and show them what they're missing out on. It's like going on a roller coaster. I can tell you it's fun and it's fast and it'll scare you, but until you sit in that roller coaster and ride it for yourself, you'll never truly know. And I think that's my role, is to let everyone in on the roller coaster of bowling.
He's the greatest! He's the greatest!
How important is emotion when you can't get up or down during the course of the event?
If you'll watch, when we're playing on television, we go right lane, left lane. I allow myself to get emotional and to show excitement on the left lane, because then you're going to sit while the other guy gets up. I will not allow it on the right lane because I don't want to be jacked up. If you're jacked up, you can throw it right through the ceiling and never know it. It's the same as the golfers hitting it over the green because, it's Sunday afternoon.
When you release the ball, do you know from the field it's going to be a strike?
It depends on how lined up you are. Like, for instance, if you throw 2 or 3 shots and yes, sir, I know what to do. If I make my shot, You still can get bad breaks. Those pins aren't set exactly right, then you can have an anomaly in carry where your best shots don't strike and your worst ones do. So there are things, yes, but we know just like anything else. A golfer knows right here, he doesn't have to look up. And we know right here, we don't have to look up. We're just interested. We just want to see what they can do for you, what the fans can do for you. They knock more pins down for me than I could do on my own. You get 150, 200 people in the same building rooting your ball on. You think it doesn't matter? I'll argue with it. I'll say, yeah, nobody touched that ball or those pins, but it mattered.